Welcome to Talking Retail, a podcast for the retail industry. My name is Rufus Parkinson, President of StarMe. On Talking Retail, you will find my colleagues and I in conversation with interesting personalities from the global retail sector, chatting about trends, challenges, technology, innovation, and much, much more. Enjoy the podcast.
Hi, my name is Derek Fox, and I come to you as the Director and Head of Sales in North America for StyleMe. If you're not familiar with StyleMe, we are the leading virtual fitting room for e-commerce fashion retailers. We look to provide not only the best user experience through our 3D virtual fitting room, but also we look to reduce returns and increase conversions through our incredibly accurate sizing recommendations. I have a true passion for technology, fashion, and retail, and I'm happy to have with me here today the CEO/owner, Sherri McMullen, from a fantastic luxury lifestyle brand called McMullen out of Oakland, California. Sherri, thanks so much for coming on with us today. Do you mind just introducing yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Thank you, Derek. Thanks for having me. I'm Sherri McMullen. I'm the founder and CEO of McMullen Retail. We are a luxury retail business founded in Oakland, California, almost 14 years ago. And our focus is on emerging brands, supporting female designers and designers of color.
Awesome. I love everything about that. And I can't wait to kind of dive a little bit deeper into everything that you stand for and your mission. And through this podcast, I have a few topics that I want to address, and then we can kind of just go from there. But the first one I want to really touch upon because, obviously this past year has been crazy with COVID. So I really want to know what your opinion and your take is on the future of retail. Do you see a continued acceleration towards e-commerce shopping or more of a shift back into in-store experience? And how does the in-store experience kind of compete with the ever-growing e-commerce landscape, in your opinion?
Well, I think that's such a great question. And I think really on the top of every retailer's mind is, are we going back to the place that we were before February of 2020? And I truly believe that the answer is no. I think there's no going back. I think it is really moving forward in a way that makes sense for your business, but also for consumers, and thinking about how we can reach consumers in so many different ways. When I started my business in 2007, we didn't have e-commerce. So it was truly about the brick and mortar experience. It was about touching consumers face to face, having that interaction with them, and really getting to know them and their lifestyles and getting to know their families. And I truly believe that experience will continue. I think there's just different ways that we can now reach the customer. Just knowing more about, what their lifestyle is now, it's very different than maybe what their life was like pre-pandemic. So I think with the future of retail, it's really about having this omnichannel experience, having a brick and mortar, but also having a strong e-commerce platform to reach the customer.
That's great. I tend to agree with, everything that you said. I do think that this, moving forward, it is going to be more of a omni-channel experience, and how the brands that are going to succeed the most are really going to be the ones that can merge the retail in-store experience with the online e-commerce experience.
Yes.
So with that being said, that kind of leads me to my next question is, how do you, because obviously retail is not going to go away. There's going to be some kind of resurgence of it. If it's not the same way as we see it today, it might be just a new iteration of it in the future. How do you see that omnichannel experience playing out specifically in the in-store? Do you see it more as like a shopping experience, or more of just as a pickup site from your e-commerce retailer?
Well, this is where specialty retailers really have an advantage, because our business has always been based on relationships and creating an experience for the customer. When a customer walks into the store, we want to make sure that they understand, we want them to understand McMullen, about our mission, about our brands, what we really stand for. And if you walk into McMullen in our flagship store, you really do get an understanding of the type of designers that we really care about. We tell their stories. We talk about community quite a bit, and we talk about sort of the Oakland landscape and the different businesses that are around us. So community is such a big part of who we are as a brand. And it's also, I think, just really important for consumers to understand that where they're spending their money, it's not only to support the businesses, it's supporting these really unique brands, but it's also, you're spending your money in your local business and really helping the community in that way. So I think businesses really have to think about, retailers really have to think about their messaging and making sure that that's really transparent to the consumers when they come in.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I think, as consumers ourselves, we're always going to be increasingly more, particular with how we're spending our money and making sure that our money is going into the right places, especially with, all the big box e-commerce, kind of taking over the little guys. So I think it's very important for local retailers to have mission statements, so you can really stand behind them. So I think that's fantastic.
And I do think that there's also this opportunity to create, experiences that are really unique. So providing different services that maybe you wouldn't get from maybe a big box retailer, and really just going over and beyond. And again, I do think that that's where specialty boutiques have an advantage, because it's already a part of our business model. Alteration, local delivery, so many different things that we can offer.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I think, your specialty and the luxury landscape is positioned much better in the retail arena than possibly, fast fashion, because, when you're shopping luxury, when you're shopping, these specialty retailers, you are shopping in per se for a more of an experience. You want more of a, dialed in, shopping experience versus, just picking up cheap garments and everything. So I think, the specialty sector is definitely going to be able to flourish, in my opinion, probably faster than some of the fast fashion brands out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess, that kind of leads me to my next topic. It's fast fashion, of course, it's especially, with Gen Zers and millennials, it's a ever growing trend, buying garments that you could, wear for one season or for 1 year and then repurchase possibly new garments. I personally am not a believer in that. I believe in, quality products or quality basics. But and I believe that's probably your stand as well. But I'd love to hear, how do you see what are your opinions? Do you see more of a shift back to quality basics or quality fashion, or more of a kind of continued acceleration into this fast fashion?
I always think that, fewer and better is just the way to go when you're shopping generally. I think it's also just good for the environment to not have so much of really anything. I am not a believer of fast fashion. I don't think it's good for the environment. It feels wasteful for the environment, but also just for your wallet. When you're supporting fast fashion, you're supporting a lot of things that I don't believe in, with the way they are actually producing the garments, who's producing the garments. You really have to dive into sort of everything about that model to understand what's going on there. But I do think that, having pieces that you will want to have in your closet for years, for a lifetime, is definitely the way to shop. And even if that means a couple of key pieces every season to enhance what you already have, I truly believe that is the way the modern shopper should be spending their money. Fewer, better, quality pieces, and also re-wearing garments. I do think that, I'm a retailer, and I want people to buy only pieces that they love, and not because they're deeply discounted or because of, any of those reasons. It's really because you have fallen in love with this piece, and that 5 years from now, and you're going to love wearing it, 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything you said, and I think you brought up, two excellent points. First, it's the environment aspect. A lot of people that are not in the fashion industry, or at least not in the marketing or actually production of the clothing aspect of it, don't realize how much are the fashion industry and the garment industry contributors, to being negatively impacted on the environment. It's a shame, and a lot of brands are not transparent on that. So I 100% agree. I think fast fashion is probably the worst contributors, to the environments, and that's all the way down the pipeline from producing the garments to obviously the over shipping and everything like that. But then I think you also brought up another great point. Having quality products or quality garments that you're going to live with for 5-10 years and you're going to be proud of. I know, when I was a little bit younger, coming out of university, and I was first trying to build a wardrobe, I was lucky enough to start a career with Ralph Lauren. And I think the prices of all the garments, kind of was a super, sticker shock to me, coming, right out of university. I couldn't imagine spending, $1,400 on a blazer or a sport coat. But let me tell you, when you do invest in that, you invest in quality, you invest in staple pieces, and I am still wearing products, for 10, 12 years afterwards, that lasts. And I feel, there comes a emotional attachment to this stuff versus a, fast fashion piece of, garments as well. So I think you definitely touched on, two things, being wise with your purchases, because probably a luxury piece that you take care of will last you a lifetime versus, rebuying and rebuying and rebuying fast fashion items, of course.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I do think it's just, being smart with how you're spending your dollars. And, coming out of school, I think there's always like limited funds, but really thinking about how you spend your money is really important. And that's where I think, again, when you have a relationship with a specialty store, you can really build that relationship. I mean, something that, we're really proud of is sort of 13 years ago, having many of the same clients that we had when we first started, and knowing their daughters and, when they were in high school and then they've gone off to graduate from college and get married and start families of their own, and really working with them too. So many times we have 3 generations of women who are still shopping with us. And that really means something to us.
That's amazing. I think that's really just showcases, the power of your brand, especially in the local community and elsewhere. I think that's fantastic. There's not a lot of retailers out there that could necessarily say that. So that's amazing that you've been able to achieve that, for sure. So we spoke a little bit or a lot of it about the luxury landscape and everything, and I think we spoke about how it's positioned probably better than other aspects of the fashion industry for retail and for the in-store shopping experience when that goes back in some time, essentially. But how do you necessarily see the luxury landscape playing out online? Because obviously it's very easy for the consumer to purchase a $10 or $20 t-shirt online with little to no thoughts. But then when you're starting to buy luxury items, specialty items that carry a higher price tag, people are sometimes can be a little bit hesitant on purchasing those items online because they're afraid of sizing, or they're afraid of just touching the garment. So how do you see the luxury landscape playing out specifically on e-commerce in the years to come?
Well, I think it's, really enhancing your technology through your e-commerce site. So, going back to sort of that experience when you're walking into the store, you're able to go into the dressing room and work with a customer. So how do you translate that into your e-commerce site? And I think that's why your company is doing such amazing things and such innovative things, because you are bringing that experience into the e-commerce platform. I mean, you're literally going into the dressing room with the customer, but you're doing it in a virtual way. And I do think that is a part of the future of this industry, because customers, there's so many different sizes. There's so many different, especially if you're doing European sizes and you're doing sizes in the Asian market. There are just so many, the UK, there's so many different sizes. So it's really sort of understanding how things are going to fit your body type. And, there's just a huge opportunity with that, and making sure that that experience is seamless as more consumers are starting to buy online. I don't think that is going to slow down. I think customers who were always going into the stores, I think they're even becoming more comfortable with purchasing online. So we have to make sure that the experience is as seamless as possible, so that they continue to come to you to know that they're getting their right sizes, or they're getting the right items for their bodies.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. So, so you kind of jumped to my next topic, as obviously our company and how the value that we're providing for our consumers, specifically in the virtual fitting room space. So do you mind just kind of sharing some of the experience that you've had working with StyleMe so far, and some of the value that we've been able to portray to your end consumers?
Yeah, well, I love that, one, that your company really stands for size inclusivity. I think that's something that's so important it really should be for every retailer, is understanding that there are so many different body shapes. And I think that you all have done a great job at that with your product, and sort of creating these different shapes and different body types. But I think it's really interesting to be able to go onto our website and be able to click the StyleMe icon and actual virtual fitting room. And that's something that's so unique, and you don't see that with, I don't think, any other technology company, where you feel like they're understanding what your size needs are and translating that to the garment that is for sale. I think it's really innovative and very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and we definitely agree, and we definitely love to be kind of the leaders in this innovative space, this virtual fitting room space, and offer our end users and our customers the proper sizing, because we know as retailers ourselves, sizing is definitely an issue in the e-commerce space, and returns are an issue, and that's something that we're definitely working very hard to combat on a daily basis.
Because especially with the returns, as we know, just being retailers, it is that can become an issue, especially as you dive deeper into the e-commerce space. It's really like trying to get the sizing right, and matching up with customers.
Exactly, and that's definitely what we're achieving at StyleMe. So I appreciate the time today. I really do, and I just want to leave it with my favorite question to ask, and just leave it off as this. But if you could speak a word to either in your choice, either the future designer out there, or the future retailer out there, or the future entrepreneur out there, possibly either in university or just graduating, what advice can you share with them?
I would say to, follow your passion, keep going. Being an entrepreneur is for everyone, but if it's something that is in your heart to do, and to, I would say just keep going at it. It's not always easy. There are going to be ups and downs, but if you stay true to your vision and why you decided to go out on your own, it will pay off, but it takes time. So just stay true to who you are, continue to follow your passion, and know that there are going to be ups and downs, but you keep going, keep pushing through all of that.
That's fantastic. I think that's incredible words of advice to everyone out there listening, and I really appreciate that. And Sherri, I really appreciate the time. It was wonderful chatting with you, learning about your opinions on the retail and fashion industry, and then hearing more about McMullen, and hearing more about your opinions on StyleMe. Had a fantastic time today, and I really appreciate you joining us on our podcast.
Thank you so much, Derek. I really appreciated the time.
Thank you for listening to Talking Retail. Stay tuned for more episodes.